my speaker off.
I'm gonna mute everyone just for now, and we're good.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to a kind of auspicious him and her talk space with me, your host, Chad Nails, Master Life Coach, and my equally fantastic her co-host, as always,
Nini Wyndham. Thank you, everyone.
All right. So tonight's kind of interesting because we decided to dip into what's been happening just in terms of, COVID. We just passed the 1 year mark for a lot of us, within the last couple of weeks. And we decided to do kind of like a self-check, a community check to see what's really like happening and stuff like that. And as an extra little bit of firsthand knowledge and firsthand experience, I am not in New Jersey right now. I am actually getting you guys coming into the talk space from Las Vegas. I've been here since yesterday, and there have been, and of course, with travel, there's been a lot of changes, a lot of huge changes that have come in, that came into place a year ago, and now a year later, some of those changes are still in place and some of them aren't. And I can definitely talk about that. I'll definitely be talking about that tonight, sharing that tonight with you guys. So we're going to be touching on a few different parts of what our journey as a Black community has been with COVID. And the first one that we wanted to dive into is probably the most prevalent one, and probably one of the newest developments in it, which has been this vaccine, which has been a very, very polarizing issue as far as, whether you want to take it or whether or not you don't, and for the reasons why. So very first talk space point that we wanted to go on was, for those of you who have not gotten the vaccine, do you plan on getting it? Yes or no? And if you want to share with us why, we'd love to hear. And then also, for those of you, if there's anybody on who has gotten it, what's your experience with that? So there's our first our grenade to toss into the space there, and we're just opening up to you guys. So if you have taken it, let us know your experience with it. If you have not, let us know if you feel comfortable sharing what your decision is on it, whether or not you are taking it or you aren't, and then why not? Why or why not? All right, so if you guys can come off mute, we are monitoring the chat. Let's know what you got for us.
So I haven't taken the vaccine yet. I am leaning more towards getting it. I'm actually scheduled to get it done on Sunday, but when I contacted the Walgreens, because this came through our HR, so I was just asking questions in terms of which vaccine they're going to be providing. So they said the Pfizer, and I'm like, I think I want to get the Moderna. And I think the only reason of getting the Moderna was because a lot of people I know got the Moderna, and that was the reason for me selecting that particular one. But then today I called to see if I could switch my appointment. I wanted a closer location, but anyhow, they said that they couldn't find me in the system. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's not meant for me to get it. But at first, just going back, I had decided not to get it because I was like, okay, I don't get the flu shot. I haven't had it in years, and I've been okay. Thank God I've never caught the flu. And, with the COVID vaccine being fairly new, I don't know what it would be like long term, like if I was to get it, any type of effects or anything of the sort. So I was kind of on the fence about it. And then as time is going on, I'm like, okay, I haven't tested positive for COVID, thank God, or my family members in my household. But I'm like, you know what? We don't know how long this COVID is going to be around for. And just God forbid, it's been a year that I haven't caught it. But what's the likelihood? I mean, I do try to protect, take the necessary precaution. of wearing my face mask and sanitizing. I really kind of do like the bare minimum. So that's the reason, you know, I said, let me, you know, get it at least to kind of protect myself and, you know, others. So, you know, and I'm still reading on it. I was actually reading about it today. I forgot the name of the resource, but a couple of doctors, like infectious disease doctor, you know, was speaking about it. Of course, they're promoting and think that, you know, we all should get it. And what I read was, and I'm sorry, sometimes when I read stuff, very hard to retain information, but I know they said that it has like the RNA or something like that. So the doctor cleared it up and said it's not like the actual COVID being put into, you know, your body. Because, and that's the thing, the doctor was also saying, like, you can't go by social media and what people are saying. Like, you have to go through the source, you have to go to the CDC and this other source that I came across today. Like I said, is a very new source that I came across. So I was reading it and I started to feel, you know, a little comfortable, like, oh, okay, I guess I'll get it. And then I have someone in the family, my mother's cousin, because I keep asking people who got the vaccine, you know, what were your symptoms afterwards? So my mom's cousin, who's 97, she got it. My brother just told me today. I was like, what? And she didn't have any, you know, any type of symptoms afterwards. Like, she was fine. I was like, dang, if Honduras can get it, I better go ahead and get this vaccine. So, yeah, so that's my whole thing with the vaccine. You just got to kind of pretty much do your own research is what it is. And you can't go by what people are saying because, you know, all our bodies are different. So just because someone may not have had any symptoms, maybe for me it'll be different. But it's just a matter of doing your research and seeing what you're most comfortable with.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jerry.
Of course, anytime.
Go ahead, Cook. I see your hand.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So I haven't received the vaccine yet either. I'm kind of on the fence, kind of along the same, it's kind of the same thing as what Faye is saying. I work in public service, constantly in different people's homes. You know, my job employer has provided us with PPE. I feel like it's been a year, over a year, and thankfully, same here in my household, no one has contracted the virus. Still understand that it's very, you know, likely that I could. Very nervous about that. But I think I'm equally nervous about the vaccine. It's a lot of information. You have so many people saying so many different things. So I kind of try to steer away from any type of social media because I was reading a lot and listening to a lot, and I was really getting nervous. I was really scared. So my thing was just to speak to my medical provider, you know, and kind of make my own informed decision based on how I'm feeling. I just prayed about it, and right now I'm not on the fence. Right now I'm just going to try to, you know, walk through this and see if I can continue to do the same things that I've been doing since the beginning of the pandemic, which is wearing my mask. I double mask. When I go out into the field, I wear a shield over my face. I'm constantly washing my hands and putting on hand sanitizer. I prefer to wash my hands though. I don't like that sticky feeling that the sanitizer, you know, leaves, the residue. And I socially distance. You know, my girlfriends and my sister, you know, they've had different, you know, functions and things, and I just don't participate. It's hard. That's why I call them all the time on video so I can see their beautiful faces. And that's what I do. The scarier part for me is not so much myself, it's having to make that decision for my children. Because what if the decision that I make, whether it is getting the vaccine for myself and my children or not getting it, causes, you know, an issue later on down the line when we find out things may be going on, and everything is like a what if. So I'm just praying, and I feel that, you know, everything in prayer, and that eventually I'll make a decision and I'll just be, you know, good with that decision. Any information that you guys can provide, you know, I'm willing to listen. My mother did get the vaccine. I did not discourage her. I will not discourage any of my friends or, you know, family members, because I think that that's unfair. A person has a right to make a decision based on what they feel is best for their body. So, although I have to be honest, I didn't want my mom to get the vaccine. I never said, Mom, don't do it. I didn't want to discourage her. She's older. She wanted to get the vaccine. I even drove her, so I just, to the site where she received the vaccine, and she's doing pretty good. She said she was very tired afterwards, like the very next day. Her arm, the site where she received the injection was very, very sore. But my mom is 74 years old and a trooper. So she's up here doing cleaning and doing all this other stuff. So I just, pray that God continues to protect us and provide the provisions that we need. And I'm just ready for this thing to be over. I'm praying all the time, like, God, come on, please. This has to, stop. But it's like a hard decision to make. So I don't know. That's where I am with it now.
Thank you for sharing. Go ahead, Chanel.
I just jumped on. What was the question?
Are you planning to take the vaccine? If so, if you are, then why? If you're not planning to take it, then why? And what's your decision on whether or not you're going to take it?
Okay, so I did get my first shot, and like other people, I was initially skeptical, but the thing that actually persuaded me to get it was thinking about the extreme consequence of contracting COVID. Yeah. So, like many other people, I've been impacted by, COVID. Like it took my cousin, it took my sister's fiance. And when I think about the trial results of the vaccine and not hearing whether, someone has passed away or not, to think about what the extreme result of contracting the virus. Because like for me, I have an undiagnosed autoimmune. And for me, I was wondering like, what would my response be to the virus? At first, when it came out with the Johnson & Johnson, I was like, well, that's a trusted name. So I think I'll rather get just the one shot and be one and done. But then the opportunity presented itself for me to go ahead and get the Pfizer. So I was like, you know what, let me just go ahead and get the Pfizer. And I went and got the first shot. My second shot is actually April 9th. And when I got the first shot, the only thing I felt was, a little bit of arm soreness. Nothing major or anything like that. Just like, just a little sore arm. Didn't have to take medicine or anything. And the very next day, I had a flare-up of my uveitis, which is like when the nerve behind my left eye becomes inflamed. Yeah. So I already had a doctor's appointment scheduled for that Wednesday. So Friday, I got the shot. Saturday, my uveitis flared up. And usually when my uveitis flares up, my eye gets a little tender. But then I feel something in my body. Like I feel like my body is like really exhausted, or it's like a weird feeling. So the reason why I say it's an undiagnosed autoimmune is because they don't know what type of autoimmune it is. Like, despite numerous tests, they haven't confirmed anything. So when I went to the eye doctor and told him, the situation, he said that, he said the flare-up wasn't because of the shot, but it was because of the shot. He said when you have an autoimmune disease, typically anything can trigger your body's response to, fight. So typically with any vaccine, your body tends to have like this inflammatory response to the whatever's being injected into your body, because your immune system is immediately on defense and is beginning to create whatever antibodies it needs to fight whatever is in your system. Right. So for me, having an autoimmune disease, it immediately flared up. So when I have, my flare-ups of the uveitis, it's inflammation in my body. So that's why I became flared. And then it just, eventually died down. But it doesn't mean that it was something that was, life-threatening or anything like that. This is something that I've always been dealing with since, 2005. So in terms of like family and friends, everybody is willing to, most of the people I know are willing to get it, because most of the people I know are in education. And, in terms of like children, like I'm a firm believer that children are super spreaders of it. This is my personal belief. And many of the kids in our care, when you go to school, they probably already have many of them probably have COVID. They're just not symptomatic. So, when people are saying things like, open the schools and things like that, I think as an educator, I would feel more comfortable if I did have some sort of protection. And just like the flu, COVID has different variants, and it might not protect you from all the variants, but the main purpose of the virus is what I keep hearing the experts say, is to prevent the most extreme consequence of contracting COVID, which is severe illness or death. And if it gets to the point where if I contract, COVID, and the only thing I have is like, flu-like symptoms, but I get to live to see another day, then I take my chance with that. Right. And then, now they're coming out saying, Pfizer saying that they have done some trial results, and so far, it's 100% efficacy in children 12 to 15. So when it comes to getting like Caden, who'll be 13, vaccinated, I most definitely will get him vaccinated, because he's going to be around like my grandmother. She herself is saying she's 80, she'll be 89 this year. And she said, I'm not getting it. So I can understand some hesitancy in her saying that she's not going to get, not get the vaccine because she's older. And a lot of older people, especially in her age group, are not, doesn't have a trusting relationship with medical professionals. Mm-hmm. So I can understand that. So that means that everybody around her needs to do what they need to do to protect themselves so that they don't, transmit anything to her. So, I think it's a good thing. I don't know what's going to happen with the second shot, but I'd rather take my chances. And, a lot of people are pushing for these schools to open. I would venture to say that a lot of suburban communities are pushing to have their kids in school. But as a result of them pushing to have their kids in school, is going to force the urban schools. Not that I work in an urban school, because I don't, but I do know the demographic of urban schools, and they have more vulnerable populations. So when those kids come to school and they go home to their grandparents that are their caregivers, that's going to be an increased risk. So I think it's better for people to at least have some sort of protection against the virus. Because our ethnic demographic of people of color tend to be more vulnerable to the virus. So if it's not showing death, then I would say just go ahead and get it. If the most that you're going to feel is a little discomfort, do your research, talk to your doctor, and make the most informed decision for yourself. Just think about, just like with wearing a mask, you're not wearing a mask so that you don't contract the virus. You're wearing a mask so that you don't spread it.
Exactly. All right. Appreciate
for sharing.
I really appreciate you giving us your experience with it. And we have Tanisha.
Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hey.
My concern is I have not taken the shot yet. I work in healthcare myself. I was not enthusiastic about trying to get the shot, but I started to do some research on not just the COVID itself, but on diseases, on public health, prior to the COVID vaccine.
Yes.
And what I've learned, or what I've researched in 1918 or something, they had this Spanish flu. People were trying to figure out what was going on with that. I have a couple of clients that have polio already. They're older clients, probably in their 70s, early 70s, and they have polio and some other public health diseases that came about, some time ago. And when I started researching and looking at that, it gave me a sense of awareness in my mind that social media plays a part of people getting stuff because people are not educated on what stuff comes from. Nobody knows where this COVID came from. But in my research, every so many hundreds of years or something comes through the United States or wherever through the earth to get rid of people. That's what I mean. If I have to say it that way, I mean, a massive of something comes and it decreases the population. So with all that, looking up myself, I'm going to try to find and research which vaccine would be better for me. Contacting my physician would be another thing that I'm trying to do next week because I don't have any underlying conditions that I know of right now, per se. However, I did have thyroids, and I have my family has high blood pressure and diabetes and all this stuff, but I've not been diagnosed with those things. I'm listening to other people that have taken it, and they were saying that some of the side effects is they have sore arms and whatever issue or whatever underlying condition they have, that's what acts up, like Chanel said. So one of my friends said they have a bad back, and when they took the shot, their back just went crazy for like a day. But they said the next day, their back felt completely fine. It was like their back felt better than it's ever felt. My brother had problems he took his shot and he's in his 60s. He said he took his shot and his nose was just running it, like he had a cold or something. He said, but after then, it was like he had no problem with sneezing or sinus or nothing. So I'm like, wow, So, who knows what the symptoms are? Who knows what they have in these vaccines? That's my main thing. But at the same time, I can't play Russian roulette with my life. I might get it. Ain't nothing gonna happen to me. Or what if something do? I can't take that choice. If something gonna happen to me, something gonna happen to me. Mm-hmm. So, who's to say? And with this new strain of virus that's coming up, I'd rather have some than to have none. You see what I'm saying? Because I may need all that the Pfizer got or the other Medallia has, and can't get it. Who's to say they're gonna have a supply of it and might run out? So I'm leaning towards getting some more research to find out which one would be the better for me. And I'm gonna go for there. I'm not trying to discourage anybody from not taking it. Like I said, social media has played a big part. People were saying, oh, this is the government, this is the market of beast. I don't want to hear no more of that stuff no more. I want to figure out I'm trying to live. So whatever I can do to live, that's what I'm trying to do. Mm-hmm. That's my comment.
Thank you, Tanisha.
I appreciate that. And you know what? Just to hear those, before I even go into that, anybody else want to share their experience either with getting it or their reasons why they're not or why they are?
I'll share. I don't plan to get it. I've never had the flu shot. So my whole thing is my thought process, and this is me, is that it doesn't stop you from getting the virus. It's just supposedly stops you from getting the severe side effects. So they say, because technically for the next 2 years, we're still in a trial period. So based on what they're telling us, supposedly, depending on, the people or however they came up with the vaccine, that the symptoms won't be as severe. I personally, I don't trust it. I don't know, it came out really quick. Again, we're still in the trial period, so we don't know, what the true side effects are and what what's happening with it. I'll 2 years from now, maybe I'll get it, but right now, I have no intentions on getting it at all.
All right, I'm with you on that. I appreciate that. My take on it, for anybody who's just coming in, we're talking about right now. We're touching on COVID a year later, and we're focusing on the first touch point that we had, which is just like, what's your take on the vaccine? If you've taken it, what's your experience been? If you haven't taken it, are you planning to? Why or why not? Me personally, Nini, we have this running joke between you and myself where it's like, yeah, we're not going to agree on. We laugh about not agreeing on stuff. This is one of those cases where that doesn't apply. I'm with you on that. I'm not a big fan of how it's been rolled out. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the information that's been pushed in terms of it. I have seen some information that says this isn't even the typical vaccine, and that's kind of partially why it was rolled out as fast as it was, because it doesn't describe to the normal timetable of what a regular vaccine is. It's along the lines of, well, it's not to be introduced to the system to actually fight the virus. It's actually kind of like a cap that attaches to the spike protein that's in your normally occurring, chain of proteins, and it kind of like acts as a disruptor so that the virus can attach to it and then, do what it does. That's still saying that, all that being said, the virus is still in your system. If you do have it, then the virus is still in your system, which means you also have the ability, there is still the ability for you to pass it on, even if you don't, even if you don't experience the symptoms, you're still in a position to pass it on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Oh, my throat.
You okay?
I'm fine.
Okay. So yeah, and I agree. Even if you cannot, the symptoms are not as severe, you still can get the virus and you can still pass that virus on. I don't know. My whole thing, and I know we didn't touch base on this yet, and it probably was going to surface anyway. I just don't appreciate, for me personally, this is my own thing, is how they're catering it to Black people. It's kind of like, oh, you need to get it. Like, I was turned on. There was this commercial, and I don't know if you guys saw the commercial. There's this commercial where they have this Black family at a cookout, and they're cooking out, and they're like, oh, hurry up and get the vaccine so you can talk smack with a side of mac and cheese. Like that to me is like, why are you catering to Black people to get? And I get that, in our past, there were things that they did that, weren't good for us, and we, they did experiments or whatever the case is, but why is the focus on the Black community and the Black community getting it? Like, the Black community is not any different than any other community, so why the focus on the Black community? I think it's just me, maybe conspiracy theory. I didn't like the commercial. I didn't like the mac and cheese comment. Like, I didn't like that whole thing. So maybe that's what my mind is. But I just don't like that they're pushing it on one population of people. That's what I don't feel comfortable with. My personal
and that's right on point. Keisha, you got something you want to add to that before I go to the next point? Because that's actually going right into what you was talking about. What you got?
No, I just wanted to say, are they really pushing it just on people of color, or are they just trying to promote? Are they just saying, like Chanel was saying, that it is known in like urban communities or within, the Black culture that we are, I don't know how true it is, we are more predisposed to certain illnesses and things. And so they're trying to, I don't agree with it. I'm just saying, I'm playing devil's advocate, and they're trying to make everyone aware. Like, I've even heard things about, the syphilis, experiment, and they're trying to do something similar to that. Is that really the case? We wouldn't really know, or are we so scared because there has been a pattern of how we've been treated in the past? You can't overlook that, but you can't also let that fear, cloud your judgment when it's something that may necessarily, help you. I get it. I thought about it too. Like, could they really do that? We're dealing with people that don't think like a lot of us guys. Like, would someone do something like that? Obviously they would. They've done it in the past. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I really, in my heart, do not feel like they are putting something out there to cause harm. I know a ton of Caucasian people, or non-Black people that have received this vaccine. So if they're trying to wipe it out, they're trying to wipe us all out. And, so I just feel like, I don't think that is it, but I will say that there's a little bit of hesitancy because there hasn't been enough testing done or information put out in terms of how the vaccine is going to, how it's going to make you feel or what the side effects may be long term. Think about it. The FDA is so many different medications that people are on. There is a side effect, or a ton of them that comes along with any type of medication, high blood pressure medication, diabetes. It's like sometimes you gotta get out of your head and not have that whole conspiracy theory like, oh, they're out to get me. Because at the end of the day, I think that someone said, at the end of the day, when it's time for you to go, it's gonna be time for you to go. So if it was written in the book, you're going to go because of a pandemic, a virus, you're going to go that way. So you're not meeting I remember this movie where this airplane, people were trying to, it was this I forgot the name of the movie where they were trying to beat death or something like outrun death or, trick death. It's like at the end of the day, you're going to die when you're going to die. You have to make a decision that is best for you. I hear what everyone is saying. I'm listening very attentively because I can be a worrier myself, but I have to cool myself down, calm myself down and think, because I have two other individuals that I have to make a decision about, and that part is scary because like I said, I don't want to, rehash the whole thing, but if I don't make the right decision, my kids could be in harm's way. Like, think about it. I think Tanisha said she has clients or patients that have polio. If I remember, there was research done on that. Like, a lot of parents were scared to give their children that polio vaccine, and that was the result. I don't know the full story, but were those parents really scared and sitting in a position where a lot of us are regarding our children or ourselves, and they just made the wrong decision, but they thought they were making an informed decision. So I don't believe that whole the Tuskegee experiment, that was just a jacked up, messed up situation. It's horrible, but I don't really truly in my heart believe that that's what they're doing. I'm like, yeah, even they were talking about Bill Gates. I started looking at that man in a different way. I was like, he's a damn devil. Like, what's going on with him? Like, maybe that's not the case. He was talking about some stuff early on about a pandemic that I saw on a TED talk, and I was like, well, how you know that? But maybe there was already some buzz about that, or maybe, I don't know. I don't think he would come out and say all those things when people could say, I got you. Like, that would be ridiculous. So we never really know. And that's why it's important to, whatever your belief system is, just be very well informed. Read, ask your medical provider. I think we had a guest on during one of the other podcasts where she spoke about asking questions and being informed. Write your questions down. Why am I taking vitamin D versus vitamin D3? Why are you giving me this type of blood pressure medication or diabetes medication versus this one? Like, we have to read and we have to ask questions, and don't be afraid. It's okay not to know the answer.
Very good, very good, excellent points. We had Dominique in the chat pull up a really good thing, which is, I think, was actually what we're kind of speaking to. Actually, she said, white people are the demographic with the most access to the vaccine. True. Black people have received less of vaccines despite higher rates of COVID deaths, according to the CDC report from March 29th. Which was yesterday? 2 days ago.
2 days ago. Yeah.
2 days ago. That being said, the paranoia is reasonable when Black people have received the least amount of vaccinations. To which I replied, do you think that we are speaking to the catalyst behind that, which is a lot of Black people kind of playing off that fear of what these new advances in medicine have done to our population. And this is actually, if you guys check at the top of the chat, we placed two links to some information, to some articles. One is actually a speaking one from Instagram, and then the other one is an article on what's being said about why African Americans need to take the COVID-19 vaccine, and then the Instagram one is speaking on why Africans are saying they do not want the vaccine. So definitely two things for you to take a look at and see if it helps inform your decision or just helps to give you more knowledge on it. For what I've looked at it, it kind of plays into, I'm one of those people where I am saying I don't want to take it because of the fact that I just don't have enough information. And for the information that I do have, it's not exactly settling as far as me being like, okay, I'll do it. That being said, I do have people around me who have taken it. My parents just let me know today that they got their 74 both, my mother and father both, and they got their second dose today. My mom's complaining of the soreness, like everybody else has said, the soreness and the sleepiness. I've had other close friends let me know of various other side effects that they've gotten from it, the sleepiness or the headaches or so on and so forth. But what I am also seeing is just very slowly, and it's not even really being covered. I am hearing of more adverse effects. So this is adverse effects up to and including death. I did see one article of a man who reacted fatally to the, I believe it's the Pfizer one in London, where it was fatal. So we have those things to consider, and I do believe he was black. I will double check that, but yeah, it's one of those things. Chanel, what you have to add for that before we move on?
Yeah, I think the person in London received the AstraZeneca one that's not approved here.
Oh, thank you for that.
Yeah, so you do have to, and they did put out some information about some leeriness and their concerns with regards to the AstraZeneca vaccine. So, we're still operating at high 90% efficacy for Pfizer and Moderna, and then the 80-something% efficacy for Johnson & Johnson. And the thing with the Johnson & Johnson one, that it was tested against larger variants of the COVID vaccine. But one thing I'm thinking about in terms of when I saw getting the vaccine and how all those people, mainly white Trump supporters and politicians and stuff that was pumping this propaganda against like mask wearing and downplaying the virus, when they took their little funky selves and jumped in line ahead of people and started demonstrating all over social media, see, I'm getting my shot. Oh, but you said that the virus wasn't this and that. But they took themselves and went ahead and got that virus. The vaccine. That says something to me, like, they do all this stuff to push their agenda with regards to politics and financial gain and stuff. But when it comes down to like the nitty gritty and stuff, you got these people desperately trying to go get the vaccine. And some of them are advertising, getting the vaccine in political circles. And then you have some people who are not saying much about it, but I bet you they go ahead and get it. So, the less we get, the more that's available for them. That's the way I think of it.
I get that. I definitely get that. And speaking of a lot of that propaganda, that's part of what the issue is. I think when it comes to with anybody, of course, but especially when it comes to our community, we are, everybody's just getting inundated with all of this information on it. It's good, it's bad, it's, the Johnson one, there was one that was saying like, oh, if you're Catholic, don't take the Johnson one because it uses clone stem cells that was pulled from fetal tissue, right? So then now religion's coming into it.
Wait, hold up, Chad. Nobody should listen to anything that some dang on Catholics say when they got some priests molesting them children like that. So they just need to shut up. They want to smoke ethics and stuff. They gonna put that
And you
out
know
there
what?
my way, but y'all not talking about that child molestation y'all got going on over there.
And that can be a whole nother show. So make sure you send that in. But yeah, but that my point to that is, and you're absolutely right. My point to that is like, there is everything that's being thrown out there. You have people that don't even necessarily know where to go to get relevant information, that know where to go to get accurate information, so that they can make very informed, decisions. If you know me at all, you know I am huge on making informed decisions now, which is why I haven't made a decision on this yet, because I'm not satisfactorily informed enough. That's just me. Eric had this to say in the chat. I think this would be the case because where Black people reside, the populations are more densely populated. Eric, can you, real quick, put a little bit more behind that for me? You can do it in the chat, or you can call.
Yeah, I can speak right quick. I'm just saying, like, as far as like what the lady put up earlier, we have a tendency, as far as CDC is concerned, to get it more because where we reside, our areas are more densely populated. So there's more of us in certain areas. So us being that close together and not taking the proper precautions, a lot more of us have gotten the COVID. That's pretty much what I was just getting at. Okay.
All right. Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for adding a little bit more to that side. See what I was going in. El Boogie I took the vaccine about 2 weeks ago with no side effects. Okay. All right. Appreciate you sharing that with us. 0 side effects at all. And that plays into the case-by-case scenario that we're talking about. Yes, people that are taking it and they're like, hey, I feel fine. People talking about taking the vaccine that's fixing their back. Like, that's not even the point of taking it, but people are having these other, people are, are making their nerves twitch and whatnot. But soreness for 24-hour soreness? Okay. All right, I'm with you on that. You're one of the fortunate ones. From what I've heard of people who have taken it, where it's very little in terms of their reaction to it. I know some people that have taken that it has taken them out for days. Strongly believe you can't judge because everyone has different immune systems. Absolutely, it's going to have to be a case-by-case thing, and like we love to talk about, this also plays into you having a better knowledge of yourself, in this case medically, so that can play into your decision-making process for taking it. If you say you have a lot of family history, and like Dominique just said, we have less access to proper health care, and I agree with you on that, Dominique, especially in the case of us understanding medical history. Because so many of us don't go, and because that's not really a really strong issue that's put into the family or community dynamic. Aside from your Uncle Al got hypertension, and your Aunt Dorothy got the sugar. It's either hypertension or diabetes. I kid you not. Which we don't call it diabetes. That's why I said sugar, because y'all knew what I was saying, what I meant when I said the sugar. But that plays into it. So moving to, even though we're already kind of talking into it, next touch point is, how do we feel about the fact of how it's being marketed or pushed to the Black community? Nene brought up the commercial where it's like, hey, get your vaccine so you can get back to playing stage with your crew, and you can have some more of your grandma's potato salad. And I'm like, okay, y'all might as well just say, hey, get the vaccine so we can get back to frying chicken and watermelon. Which, why? Y'all go on. I already put out a question. Y'all go on. How do we feel about how it's being,
Wait, what was the question again?
how do we feel about it being pushed to the about it being pushed to the Black community and how it's being pushed?
Well, I already spoke. I mean, if anyone feels if want to jump in, they can. I just don't like. I don't like the fact that they're doing that way. You don't see commercials where it's catered to the Asian people or to Hispanic people, or why is it catered to the Black? And if someone can explain it for me to understand why that is being done, then by all means, they can do that. But I just don't like the fact that it's being that we have that commercial just rubbed me the wrong way. What they're talking about, talking smack with a side of that. Like, I don't like that.
Okay,
and they're grilling, and like, I just don't like that. And then that they're saying, yes, we do have, with our history and our diets and everything like that, we do have all hypertension and all that, but so do Italians who eat a lot of pasta. And like, it's not just us that have all these diseases across the board. Why do we have to have a commercial that says we're at a barbecue talking smack with a side of that? That's all I want to know. I saw Vanessa hand first. That's all I want to know. So what is that about? I don't like that it's being pushed. I don't like that we're being, because when I was doing the research, there's only I believe in South, and I'm not a geographic person, but only parts of South Africa where COVID even touched. The rest, if we're talking about Black people that are more susceptible, what happened to the rest of Africa, to the rest of the continent? So that's not true. Help me to understand why I'm seeing Black commercials.
I get it. And
that's it.
To add to that, before I get to this row of hands that I see across the top of my screen,
they went up. I was like, I need to know.
Please bear in mind, first place that they wanted to talk, that they spoke up about testing the vaccine, they were talking about going to Africa. Okay, why?
Why? Only a small portion of Africans got COVID. Why are we going to Africa?
Right,
why? So go ahead, Vanessa. I saw your hand first.
Let's get into it.
I'll brace myself. You gotta unmute yourself.
There you go.
Okay, hi. Good.
Hi.
Good talk. Very informative. So as I'm listening and, I hold myself accountable to it, that we have to educate our people and we have to tell them. And, I hear often people say, I don't have enough information, so I'm not going to get vaccinated. There's not enough research. Systemically, historically, Black people have been experimented upon. So of course we have reservations, and those reservations are to be respected, because unfortunately we see even now in this millennium, Black Lives Matters and all of these type of things that are going on. And so when we see those commercials where they're targeting a group of people, whatever, we see that, but it's kind of like how Black people can use the word nigger amongst themselves, but white people can't use it. We can use it in music and refer to it as a term of endearment, and it's acceptable. So the people that are pushing the commercials are not whites, they're Blacks, trying to use their language and use familiar settings for them, or to remind them of a life that they can get back to. And this is how we do it. It's kind of like, if you want to talk to a bunch of young kids on the street, you can't go and use the King's English. You better have some Ebonics in your pocket. You better know the lingo and the linguistics that they use and the jargon, so that you're more relatable. That's our fault. That's our responsibility, because all of us in this room are professionals, and we have to be responsible for the people that don't know. The scripture says, my people perish for lack of knowledge, and we are perishing in our communities. And I understand, the reason why Black people are not equally vaccinated is because of the history behind vaccinations. But the white people have come to North and they have been vaccinated. Absolutely. And they have done their research. We keep saying, well, I don't know about this vaccine and that vaccine, but how many of you in the room have actually studied what the vaccines are? Do you know what the mRNA is? Does anybody know what that is? You're talking about spike proteins, and there's B cells and T cells. And I don't want to make this like a science project because it is very scientific. My husband and I.
But it kind of has to be that. It kind of has to be that. So I mean, you're right.
Right. But I'm saying it's not enough to say I don't have enough information when you are literate. Like, there's no reason for you to say I haven't done it because I don't have enough information. The information is available. It's scientific, so it's factual. You're not going to, if you went to Wayne, you're going to get the same literature on the vaccines. My husband and I both opposed the vaccination in the beginning. My cousin passed away, so last year there was a vaccination. This vaccine has been in the making for a while. It didn't just come out. It's been in the making. They had a vaccine originally in 2020, and it didn't work. And what they found was that the vaccine shut down the major organs. So, unfortunately, my cousin as a result of it. But it was all trial and error. And don't forget, doctors practice medicine. They practice medicine. That's why it's called a practice.
You're the second person I've heard say that.
Well, because it's true. It's all experimental. But don't forget, the United States makes the bulk of their money off of the pharmaceutical industries, off of guns and weapons and money laundering. That's how we remain the wealthiest nation. So that's a big business. A lot of times you get prescriptions from doctors that are not, when they say that it's FDA approved, it's FDA approved for fighting COVID, but it's not FDA approved for prevention of COVID. So, I think that we have to explain to people what it is exactly that these vaccines are and how they work. So the mRNA is a type of, so we have spike proteins, and I don't want to make this a science project, but we have spike proteins naturally in our bodies, and we have B cells and T cells, and those cells fight off infections and diseases, and they do that organically. That happens naturally. So the difference with the Pfizer vaccine, so my husband and I both chose the J&J shot because it doesn't have the mRNA, and the mRNA is like, so let me tell you what the Pfizer and the Moderna does, and that's why you need two of them. The first one is just to prep the body. The second one actually carries the germ, the disease. And so that's why you're going to have all of these side effects. But what the mRNA does is any type of genetic, hereditary thing that you could be predisposed to just because of your DNA, it releases it. So like the young lady was saying about her eye, and how after she had the shot, it triggered that or whatever. And it is. So if you're prone to be diabetic, if you're prone to have, high blood pressure or whatever, it's going to release those things. So whatever you're predisposed to genetically, that's what it does. And so with the Johnson & Johnson, it does not contain the mRNA. And that is the one that you do not see pushed into our communities. That is the drug the vaccine you do not hear about. Try and get the J&J shot. It's almost impossible. You pretty much have to know someone to find out where it is. They don't disclose the locations. I was able to get myself the vaccination with no registration. My husband vaccinated the same day, and now my mom. And so, I think that we need to explain more to the people in our communities which one of those shots is the lesser of the two evils. But none of them will prevent you from getting COVID. They'll prevent you from being on a ventilator. But the Johnson & Johnson does not contain the mRNA, which is really what Black people need to be concerned about because we're predisposed to all of these health ailments. And the difference between white people eating pasta and, drinking and eating is that they have money and access to better health care. We don't have they eat just as poorly as we do. Right. They drink just as often, and they're on prescription drugs more than our people are on street pharmaceutical drugs. But they have better access to healthcare. They have more money, and so that's why we don't hear the statistics on them because their conditions are treated where ours just deteriorate. So I think it's more along those lines about like our communities. But again, when we're seeing these commercials, you got to go read the credits. Mm-hmm. Who produced that commercial? Who was behind that? And I think a lot of times we feel like we have to, I don't even know the correct term to say, but it's like when we're addressing our own people, there's this idea that we have to simplify things for them, and we don't. We don't have to simplify it. We have to give them the information, and we can't say, well, I don't trust it, and until I get more information. I mean, if you Google, you have all the information you need to make an informed decision, to make a very smart decision. Unfortunately, because of the attitudes towards we are subjected to, you're going to be, I don't care how wealthy you are, you're going to be subjected to poverty. You're going to be around poor people. Those are going to be people that come in and clean your house. Those are going to be your sanitation workers that come collect your trash. You can't avoid them. When you go to a hotel, look at the woman turning down your bed. Okay. She don't make six figures. You understand? So no matter how much wealth you have, you will always come into contact with people that are less, less affluent, the people that don't have the same kind of money. So I think that we have to, it's our responsibility to take the information, us as professional people, we have to get the information, and we have to have platforms breaking that down and explaining to them exactly what's in these vaccines and how they work and why one is preferred over the other. But that Johnson & Johnson, that alone, just that it does not contain that mRNA, that was the game changer, because originally my husband and I both were against it because of the history in America with vaccines and Black people, and people think that was 400 years ago, but that the Tuskegee Airmen experiment went well into the 1970s. So that was not such a long time ago. Not at all. I respect the fears that Black people have. My mother, who just turned 89, she was a part of that. She was born in 1932. She absolutely understands systemic racism and, those type of things. But, I also needed her to be protected, because she's very active and she enjoys life and she enjoys going out. She likes going shopping and all of that stuff. So we just needed to decide which was the lesser of the two evils. And we had to do the research. We had to, it's like, I can't say I don't have enough information. It's like, what are you waiting for this to come to your front door? Like, it's not coming to your front door. You have got to Google, open a book. You have to, pull it up. What's in it? They will break it down, each molecule, every little ingredient in there, and they will tell you how that works with your body's own chemistry and how that, will, how it interferes with our own spike proteins and, B cells and T cells, because those are the cells that work organically to fight diseases and infections.
Thank you, Vanessa.
You didn't want it to be a science lesson. You came through with the science lesson.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's so scientific, though. It's like some of the terminology, the words are just like, what? He's like, you got to break it down by syllable.
Yeah, yeah. And with me, and then it was Tanisha and then Cook. And when I say that I don't know any information, enough information about it, what I'm saying for me personally is that I don't know the long-term side effects to it, because it is a 2-year trial period or whatever. If the what you name that HR whatever, I'm sorry, if those are affecting already predisposed conditions, what are the long-term side effects of that? I don't know enough information about that because it hasn't been out long enough to know what those side effects are. So when I say, for me personally, when I'm saying that is, I don't know enough about it to know how my body is going to react to it a year and a half from now. So I'll wait 2 years and decide again. But for me, I think it's too soon.
Okay. So we got
Tanisha.
I know you got your hands up. Just real quick, because I got Dominique coming on the chat with good stuff, saying that there has been a lot of it being distributed largely in foreign, the J&J vaccine that has been distributed largely in foreign Black areas. And that also I know 2 New York City schools that just did huge Johnson & Johnson open vaccinations in mostly Black and Hispanic neighborhoods. So this is good. It makes me still wonder, what strings got pulled. Because Vanessa, you had a good point in saying, well, you're in the know as far as saying that there is some aspect of it where it's not being pushed, and then if that is the case, then to look at these occurrences in New York City with these schools that Dominique is saying, you know, what strings are getting pulled in order to make sure that happens. Who was in the know as far as as far as, you know, whatever jurisdictions that they happened in. What happened that was able to be done. You know, so there's actually, that says to me that there is not to say that we weren't aware of it before, but there's a huge political aspect to this that perhaps not a lot of people are talking about. You know, and that plays into, it's going to play into this being a medical emergency in a lot of interesting ways, some beneficial, some detrimental. Like Vanessa, you said, one part of the detriment being that we're not there, that there are some places that are not advertising all of the options. And then, as Dominique is saying in the chat, or showcasing in the chat, beneficial as far as other options being exercised. So I'm feeling that. I'm definitely feeling that. We had Lakeisha and Tanisha.
Tanisha can go first. I think Nene said she was before me.
Okay, thank you, because I'm trying to hold it in so I won't forget what I was going to say. But Vanessa was absolutely, you took a lot of it out of my mouth, Miss Vanessa, when you was mentioning who has set up this commercial, you know, and who directed the commercial or brought the commercial about. I haven't seen it yet. I'm interested in seeing it myself. So I wouldn't know how to, you know, to comment on that. But the other two comments I had were, I think
You're muted, Tanisha.
Okay, you lost. I feel like, yeah.
Let me find it. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Got it.
Okay, I was trying to find my phone. Okay. I think we said something about the testing coming out of Africa. My one thing I wanted to say about that was that I've done research or read some other things when they did tests on human bodies and human studies. A lot of studies come when they do testing and stuff, they tested on African American people. From what I read on some things, I'm not for sure this is how it goes, because I guess I would say we're like the original people or the original man or whatever. Our bodies can take some things that other people's body can't take. You know what I'm saying? So they probably would try to, this is just me saying it because I'm not a scientist. I forgot to say that I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor and I'm not a physician. So I can't make a medical determination or saying this is true. This is just my thought and my opinion in my mind. They may be studying, doing those tests on those people because they know Black people can take a whole lot of other stuff. They can find different things in that origin of a race than another origin of race to find out how the body studies. That's just me. That's what I'm thinking. I might be wrong. So that was my comment on that. The comment Vanessa made about the Johnson & Johnson, that's why I had not made a decision, because I wanted to research. And Miss Vanessa, you're absolutely right. It's our responsibility to research which one. However, the reason why I said I did want to take the Johnson & Johnson is because the Johnson & Johnson got so many lawsuits on all this stuff. But now thinking about it, why in the world would Johnson & Johnson even stick their neck out there for to have another lawsuit as big as this is with all this going on? Make money, then turn around, got to give all the plus more away. So that's something to consider. And then about the vaccine in the Black communities, I don't know where y'all at. We can't even get the doggone vaccine down here. In the Black community, they ain't pushing these folks to the vaccine down here. They can't even hardly get the vaccine. Yeah. So I think it might be in different areas they pushing it, but here in Virginia, people scrambling trying to find a vaccine. You see what I'm saying? So we looking trying to find it here. We got to wait in line. We got to wait.
Yeah, I know. I've heard a few people that actually had to travel to DC to get the vaccine because it wasn't available in Virginia, which is crazy.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, okay, if even, and matter of fact, even if they did put a vaccine inside of a, you know, a underprivileged neighborhood, half the people probably wouldn't get it anyway. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
they may and they may not, you know, but I don't see a lot of people itching to try to get the vaccine. That's why when Ms. Vanessa said we got to educate ourselves, we really do have to educate ourselves, because we listen so much about what social media say and about what other person's opinions are without asking them, why do you feel that way? And without asking them the question and being intimidated because their response may be something different than what we even thought about. Because my response would be what I'm thinking. Their response may be on some factual. So I need to go with the facts. You know what I'm saying? Well, yeah, this stuff happened with Tuskegee Airmen. Yeah, that happened. You know, I mean, what's a Tuskegee Airmen? Lord have mercy. With the syphilis. So that was something totally different. You know, than this is. This is affecting everybody. Not just one group of people in one state. You see what I'm saying? Yes. So this is just not here in the United States. This is everywhere. So what are the people in other countries taking? What vaccine they getting?
Right.
You know, are they doing the same vaccines we having? Or everybody is it just two vaccines, or do somebody in China got a different vaccine than somebody in Italy got?
That's, you know what? We're not even hearing. We're not hearing who's getting oh, thank you. I was just about to ask, because I hadn't heard anything about what vaccine other places in the world were getting. Thank you very much for that, Vanessa, for giving me that point. The majority of China is receiving J&J, and that falls in line. That really falls in line with what I'm hearing as far as their recovery efforts. They are actually, and this is as recently as I believe this morning, because I was watching the news, and they were saying the rate of their recovery plus not even just health-wise, but economy-wise, the rate of their recovery may actually have them supersede the United States as the major economic power. So again, this falls under some this falls under way larger categories than just, you know, the medical response. It's what the result of the medical response is going to have to do. We're talking about some major upsets of power here, in terms of you know, who gets well first faster. So Johnson & keep doing their thing. If that's the case, you know, not that I'm trying to have, you know, China look at us like how we beat you, but I mean, from a medical perspective, if that's the one that's doing the thing, you know, that's really doing the thing, and you know, and this mRNA has this track record of you know, spurning, you know, underlying conditions that not. You know, if that's the case, then I never know which one I would go with, regardless if I do decide to go with it. But Keisha, you got one more thing before we go to our next one?
Yeah, I think that Vanessa said a lot in terms of what I was going to say. I will say that, thank you, Vanessa, because I didn't know anything about the mRNA. Not that I have not been researching, but I guess I haven't researched in detail. So I will now, you know, go and look at this. And in terms of the Johnson & Johnson, I think that because they have they have a dark cloud over them from regarding past, mishaps with, misinforming, consumers, that people would be leery. I think though, that what Vanessa said about being adequately informed, and we've heard that so many times during this particular podcast, is so important. But I think that a lot of times when people don't have the ability to receive information, so like Vanessa's saying, like, you can just read, you can Google, but what about those older people that don't have the they're not technologically, skilled to do so, or they don't have, loved ones or children that can, say, mommy, do this, or mommy, we have to read this, or like they don't have that support or that network. I think like, and I know where Vanessa works, but I think like a place like that, like a community-based facility or center such as that one, I won't name it, should be able to in some way coordinate like an informational type of, I don't know, like a sit down. I don't know if I'm saying the right words, like a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a meeting. And because when people kind of buy into what you're doing, like, so this particular agency has already, or the center is well known in the area in which it is housed. And people really feed off of what those administrators and those founders, are saying. They do a lot of things within the community. And I think that when you have people that they know are already invested into the community, they are probably going to be a little bit more open to buying into what is being said. So bring out doctors that are brown and black. I think that would help. And it's not about trying to fool or put a flim flam on anyone, but like, I know that for me, not always, but I do tend to kind of lean towards, medical professionals and, people that look like me, because I feel like we're not all the same, but there's a sense of comfort there. So I feel like if they did some type of like informational session where they could sit down and have, the elderly, have, bilingual, because that center is in the heart of a predominantly Hispanic or Spanish speaking area, bring in some people that people trust, and make sure that everyone comes in and they're well informed and they're ready to answer those questions, because there's going to be a lot of questions. And think about it, if you don't speak the language and now you're faced with something like, listen, am I going to be able to break down everything in each of these vaccines and understand it? No. I'm going to have my little tablet along with the information that I'm researching, and I'm going to be Googling and going back and forth because I don't understand, because I'm not a medical professional. Or if you have someone in your family that is the doctor or is in the medical field, maybe they would be willing to volunteer and give whatever information that they have. I mean, I think that that's a start, because a lot of people, like your churches, use your church, not just saying, well, the Bible says this. Yeah, we understand all of that. And something else that Vanessa said, that our people perish for lack of knowledge. So bring the knowledge to them. Bring the knowledge to them. Don't bamboozle them and hit them over the head. Be gentle in the way that you speak to them, and just let them know that you're trying to inform, because you still at the end of the day have to make an informed decision on your own. I will definitely go to one of those informational sessions, because I'm still lost in the sauce. And I think that I'm a, fairly intelligent person. I can read and I can articulate myself, and I understand things. But what about the woman who is the 65-year-old Hispanic woman that doesn't speak English, or the 75-year-old Haitian or Creole speaking woman that her kids are not in the same state with her, so she doesn't know how, or he wouldn't know what to do or where to go, and maybe they don't have that support. So we, the people that know that we want to help, we are the light for our people in our community. So if the Caucasian people already have it together, what do people say? We like 400 years plus behind. That's okay. We're still coming up strong. So it's our responsibility as well-educated individual, young people, to inform our elders. Not strong-arm them into doing anything, because who wants to be strong-armed? But to inform our people, so that they know. And our people are not only people that look like us. That if it happens to be someone that doesn't look like the Asian person that runs the store, or the Spanish person that runs the bodega, we should be informing everyone. We shouldn't be withholding anyone. We don't want to be like our counterparts, those that are withholding information because they don't want us to succeed and move forward. We're not those types of people. We want everyone to succeed, and we want everyone to live. We've lost too many people to this. It's not right. So that's how I feel. I feel like, hey, you're in the community, you have the space. I mean, we can't crowd together. I understand that. It could be a Zoom type of thing like we're doing now. Yeah. Make sure people are passing out. We used to do it for for the voting. We used to go door to door, knocking on the door. You don't want to open your door? I get it. I'm going to leave something in your mailbox. I want you to read it. Spanish and English, written in Spanish and English, and any other language that may be well known to be prominent in that area. That's how you change people. You have to give them information. They see that brown girl or someone that looks like them trying to provide them information, they're gonna buy into it. And then we're not telling them anything wrong. You know what I mean? So if anyone wants to volunteer, put your hand up and I'll volunteer. I'll make myself available. Those would be like the good old days where we used to stand outside and go from door to door.
Okay.
Sharing.
All right, coming through with solutions, coming through with your concerns and with some solutions. I'll put in the chat in response to Vanessa that due diligence is very key here, and part of it, if not the whole of it, is getting information into our hands. It's not that a lot of people are just going with what's being said in the media, and I don't trust half of what's being said in the media anyway. But finding the actual information and then getting it into people's hands, absolutely. That has to happen through a Zoom call. That has to happen through, dropping things in people's mailbox, or slipping it under their doors or whatever. Then hey, I'm with it. I'm definitely with it. I try to scour the internet to find relevant information so I can pass it on to people. I know that's not always the best case, but it's definitely an option that we have as far as gathering it. So, absolutely.
Can I say one more thing? It'll be very quick. I'm sorry. How come we can't make up our own PSA? So Nene said she didn't like the one that they made. How come? I mean, I don't have the money to do that, but maybe donating something and coming up with a bunch of people donating, like you do a GoFundMe or something like that, so that we can make up our own PSA and inform our people. And we could make up a PSA that incorporates people from different ethnic backgrounds and demographic backgrounds, so we could say that we are the community. And although we're painting a picture of like we're separated, because that's what we're doing, separate. You don't get this vaccine because you live in this area. Let's stop that. How come we can't do that? Crickets? Come on, guys.
There's absolutely nothing that we can't.
Right.
Okay, let's get it happening. You guys, come on. Chad and Nene and Vanessa, you guys have been doing these platforms. So come on. Tanisha said she's going to do something. Why can't we do something? Waiting on you guys. You guys have this platform going on, so use it.
Well, and I hear what you said. I see your hand, Vanessa. In that sense, though, Chad and I are providing the platform. So since we are doing the platform, then how about you, Lakeisha? Let's get with it, because Chad and I have this platform to use. Maybe share this podcast.
You find the experts,
or you.
We'll put them on the show.
You do your part. We're doing our part. Now it's your turn. Boo.
Okay, I'll try. I'll see what I can do. I'm very quiet to myself, but I don't know a lot of people. But I know Vanessa. I know that Vanessa knows a lot of people.
You do not get to be quiet into yourself after that.
Right, I saw that.
You don't. I'm sorry. I love you, but you don't. You don't get to. All right, Vanessa, and then Elwood, please.
Just unmute yourself.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm like, where's that button? I definitely agree with what Cookie's saying. I also, first and foremost, charge myself with the responsibility of it, and it's just word of mouth. I think that, Black people did the best when they took it to the streets. It's not much to set up a microphone, and it's really not much. I mean, we have to go to the mayor's office. We have to go to, there's so many different ways of how to do a PSA. It really is, but it requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of effort. But for those groups that Cookie talked about, like my mother don't have they want you to set up an email and all. She's got no damn email. She, you know what I mean? She's 89 years old. She doesn't know about Facebook and all of these social media types of things. It's our responsibility. It's my responsibility. And I had to break it down and explain to her exactly what it was. I don't want you to get it because I got it. I need you to know what they're putting in your body. I need you to know what these side effects are. And I need you to tell your neighbor. I need you to tell the 89-year-old lady upstairs. I need you to explain to her. And so, it's always word of mouth. Black people, before we ever had a forum or a platform, You know, we carried messages to our people by foot. We carried messages to each other. We knew when they were going to steal away. We knew, you know, there was a form of communication that we had. And so, you know, we all have been irresponsible in that, thinking that it's someone else's, or, well, you do this and you know that, and you know, we all know somebody. We all have the responsibility. I don't expect white people to understand my history, and I don't, you know, their white privilege doesn't allow them to understand my history. I don't expect them to be sensitive to something that they've not been exposed to. You know, they really don't know. I'm not upset when white people are apprehensive approaching Black males or Black women. You know, that's what we've done to ourselves in the movie industry, in the music industry. We perpetuated those stereotypes. They didn't do that. We did that all by ourselves. You know, and so we just have to take more responsibility for it. So I definitely am responsible, and everything that I have learned about this, I make sure I am telling somebody every day. You know, that's why I'm like, you know what I'm saying, I'm leaving, you know, the day after tomorrow, and I have so much to do, and I'm saying, no, I cannot miss this opportunity to share that, because somebody may need to make a decision, and it's my responsibility. And so I shifted other responsibilities and other things to do, you know, to be a part of this today. And I'm like, you know, I have to, like, I'm responsible. I don't blame, you know, my other counterparts for not bringing this message. You understand? I'm not. I just feel like we are. Cookie, you're absolutely right. You know, we need to get a microphone, and just the way they preach on the corner. Remember when the apostles went out on the street corners and tried to save souls? If we got to get a microphone, if we got to shout it out to the top of our lungs, go out on a street corner and it's just as simple as that. Think about how Black people, before we even had a platform, how we carried messages. And we're always looking for our leaders. We're always looking for our leaders. Barack Obama could have been Mickey Mouse, and believe me, they would have voted Mickey Mouse into the White House, because the leader had come and we got behind him. Hundreds and thousands of us stood in line for hours and we got behind him. We were so happy to see the leader come. We would have jumped up and down and played Simon Says if he asked us to. We would have done anything he asked us to, because our leader had come. Right. And we were willing to get behind him. And now, you know, we don't have to be Barack Obama. We don't have to be Oprah. We don't have, you know what I mean? It's just coming here to your platform and saying, you know what, I have a responsibility to them, to tell them what I know and to share my experience, not to, influence your decision, but to share my experience and to share I have to part what I know.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
She's right. We're responsible. It's us. It's all of us collectively. You know, I can't ask you to do more than what I'm willing to do.
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead, El Boogie.
I was just thinking about it, and so what happens if most people over here on call don't want to get the vaccine? So I'm just thinking, how do you want to get back to living a normal life? How would you like to, if you don't get the vaccine, are you going to keep wearing a mask for the next 12, 24 months? So what's the plan? So which means you're still very much open to getting the virus if you don't believe that you want to get the vaccine. So how are you going to keep living your life normally, or you just not gonna interact with everybody else? I was just thinking.
Mm-hmm. Now with the vaccine, that doesn't stop you from getting the virus. You can still get the virus even though you've been vaccinated. So it just eliminates the severity of your symptoms. So even those who have been vaccinated, you can still get the vaccine. Still get the virus. It doesn't stop you from getting the virus.
Also, and this is probably a personal thing. Most of you know I'm in school right now. I'm a second major at Rutgers University in Newark, and they are speaking. Hey, all right. And they are speaking to the notion of opening campus up in the fall to resume in-person classes and so on and so forth. However, they have also made it very clear that that option is only open to people who are documented vaccinated. Which means if you don't have that prerequisite that says that if you don't have proof showing that you've been vaccinated, people have reopened campus, you cannot come back. So what's happening is, and now for me, that sucks because I prefer to be in the classroom, but I'm also not at the point of taking the vaccine just to be able to go back to class. So what's happening for people is, while they're still just as susceptible to contracting the virus as people who have been vaccinated, from a social standpoint, it's going to get tougher for people who have not, as opposed to people that have. From a social and maybe even from an economical standpoint, it's going to be tougher. You're going to have stores that are going to be like, it starts with schools, it's going to trickle over to banks or government facilities where you can't, you're not going to be able to conduct business if you don't have that vaccination. So it's going to get tougher. It's going to get tough for people.
They've already started that in Europe. Some parts, I believe, I don't know if it's the whole continent of Europe, but in some certain countries in Europe where if you want to go into a grocery store, you have to show your vaccination card in order to enter.
That is starting in New York.
Mm-hmm. Is it already?
They've already started talking about it, a vaccine passport.
Yep. Go ahead.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Just that strong arming and not fair. Preach on.
Yeah, they
Go
actually.
ahead, Vanessa.
We just got a memo from our company that, and this is right. We just got this today. So spring break starts Friday. Good Friday, we're off. So like most of us, we've planned to travel or whatever, and we just got a notice that if we go out of the region, which is New Jersey, Delaware, Connecticut, whatever the state issued as the regions, that you will have to use your unpaid or paid sick time, and it is at their discretion of whether or not you can return to work. So it's gotten really serious now. They even that, people that have been vaccinated or have not, they're going to request at their discretion a 7 to 10 day quarantine period, which I think is horrible because, nobody plans to go away for spring break the day before spring break. That was a plan in the making, and so now it's like, well, you all know me, so you know what I'm doing. All right. I'm like, I just bumped up my retirement date. But yeah, it's getting serious, and we just received this notice today that they're going to use their discretion about whether or not we can return to work if I fly.
Right, and that's actually been going on throughout, because I work in HR. So a lot of the companies and the clients that I deal with, they've already said, so if you travel outside of your travel zone, then you are required to to quarantine for 7 to 10 days. But there are certain city or states that don't have travel restrictions. Also, and obviously we know, if you're telling me that I have to use my sick days to come back to work, why would I tell you that I'm going anywhere? And how are you going to know that I went anywhere? So it's just a matter of, them finding out or whatever. But 9 times out of 10, people are not going to tell you that, I went to California. They're not going to tell you that because I don't want to use my days when I come back. So, to put it out there, you set the standard, but how many people are honestly going to be, truthful, knowing that they're going to be using their own days anyway? So
I think it's horrible in the sense that, they have taken very little precaution for us, because lots of our Spanish-speaking students travel to their countries on spring break, and so these kids are going to return home. As a matter of fact, there are a couple of my parents who are out of the country right now, and so you're saying I can't, if I've traveled, can't come back because I'm more afraid of getting COVID from them than I am of passing this on to the students. And I'm saying, well, what are you going to do to protect me from the parents who are traveling? Who are who are you serious? I'm saying, like, how do we manage this?
Right. You can't.
Who are we protecting who from whom? Like, yeah, it's scary.
It's scary.
It's getting out of control.
Yep. Go ahead, Cook.
So forgive me, guys. Maybe I'm just not understanding. So first of all, what Nene said is true, and Vanessa. I just don't tell you that I'm going out of town. But see, what's going to happen is people have such big mouths and everything is social media, selfie this, selfie that. I'm trying to profile and style and let you know that I'm doing all this stuff. How about keep your lips tight and do what you need to do? That's all you have to do, is just don't say anything. Like, people talk too much. Second thing is, if the vaccine does not stop, maybe I'm not understanding like how this whole thing works. If the vaccine does not stop you from contracting the virus, and you're still going to have people that are not going to get vaccinated, what is the whole purpose of making sure a person has a card? Because that's what my pastor even said, my ex-pastor. He was saying that in order for you to come to church, you have to show your card. And I'm like, but what difference does it make if you're out and about having to go to work and not everyone is going to be, vaccinated? Like, I just don't understand it. And like, maybe I'm missing something. It's like, they're doing all these things. It's just so unfair. And I understand everyone wants to be healthy and safe, but making people get vaccinated against their will and probably forcing that on them to do that to their children. Like, I have a problem with that. Because what you're not going to do is you're not going to tell me what to do with my kids. Now I'm going to have to I should have paid attention a little bit more with Vanessa and Tamika and, Tracy. Now I'm going to have to homeschool, and that's just a job in itself, but I don't feel like I should have that pressure. Like, and I have been worried about that, guys, like, to vaccinate my children. It's not that I don't care about my children. I love my kids, but I want to make a decision that is best for them. And some of you are saying, like, it could be that vaccinating them is the best thing to do. And then others are saying, but we don't know enough about it. I mean, that's crazy. But I saw, it wasn't a documentary. I saw something on television that was saying in some other country, I forgot which country it was in like one of those European countries, that they had like a little card, and you would have to show like almost like a passport type of thing, and you couldn't go to, like, it was so funny because the people were at these outside concerts, like these outdoor concerts with masks on, separated, but they were showing their little cards. I'm like, you're still moving in the midst of a pandemic that could still take you out because there's so many different variants. So it's like, are you really, I don't know. It's just a lot, and I don't want to be long-winded, but it's like, are you really doing any better by taking the vaccination or being vaccinated? And I'm not, talking about anyone that has, because you have the right to do that. But my thing is, like, what's changing? I know it has something to do with like herd immunity. I was reading up on that, and that I guess the more people that are vaccinated, if I understand correctly, that it kind of in itself like wipes it out, and for lack of a better word. So I don't know, but now that's scary. So now I can't even finish my daggone diploma because I don't want to get the vaccine. So now everything is impacted. Even my employment can be impacted, right? Eventually, because I am deciding to not put something in my body but what if I don't want to get the vaccine, but I still socially distance, which is what I do. And I still wear my mask, and I still wash my hands, so that's not enough. So it's a lot, guys.
Yeah, because I know that there are certain clients that we work for who they're requiring everyone to get vaccinated. Well, they're not forcing them. They're requiring to get vaccinated if they want to continue employment. If they don't continue employment, then they will have to be terminated from that client. Find another job that doesn't require them to be vaccinated. So it's getting there. It's getting to that point.
Which is it's going to become a shorter and shorter list, I promise you.
I'm sorry, they said find another job. Wow, that's very easy. That's so idiotic.
The same thing with Rutgers. You either come to campus or you get vaccinated. If you don't want to get vaccinated,
with me having one more semester to go, you want me to pick up and go to another school? Right.
Strong arming.
No.
Oh, yeah.
So there it is. At final point, we we've talked about a lot of things that have changed over the last year. We're talking about going from not having a vaccine to having a vaccine, and trying to figure out what to do. We've gone from being able to come and go to having to mask up, which is for me that it can be irritating at times. I just want to sometimes I'll be in the middle of just flat out in public and just want to rip my stuff off and be like seriously. But and then with the social distancing and so on, we have a lot of stuff that's changed. Last point for anybody who wants to add anything. What has been
Darrell has something to say.
I got you.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Come on.
Hey, how you guys doing this evening?
What's good, brother? How you
doing?
I was just taking it easy. I wanted to chime in about a couple of things about the vaccination.
Yeah.
First and foremost, just my opinion. Over the last 50 to 60 years or so, we watch African Americans be slaughtered in every different shape, form, or fashion in our generational span, in our lifetime. And until we actually know who our common enemy is, who the Latinos' enemy is, and the Mexicans' enemy is, and anybody who was a color or melanated descent, we all share the same common enemy. So at the end of the day, I understand the fear that's been instilled in all of us about the coronavirus. And what I don't understand is how, people can take medication that we don't know the side effects, we don't know what it actually consists of as far as the ingredient of it, and we don't know the long-term effects of it as well. And just, I understand it's all about money, because at the end of the day, it's always about money, and it's always a strategic, systematic way to, eliminate us as a people. Until we actually start to really look at that, pay close attention to that, I don't think we'll ever really tackle some of these issues that we really have going on, wholeheartedly the way that we should. So it's one of those deals where it's like, okay, a tracking device or tracking system, they've been trying to get that in place for years now, where they can kind of clock us all and clock our money and all of those other type of different things. So just like we had deregulation like cable, there's a deregulation going on with money, with currency right now in our country. The dollar's, plummeting, and the value of the dollar is starting to go down, and all the other new currency and, anything from Bitcoin to, everything just being on your card opposed to having cash is, the systems are changing. So they have to kind of keep up with that. So again, with COVID, I understand the severity of it. I'm not saying that it's not an actual, thing, because I've actually had family members that passed from COVID. But again, some of these family members that passed from COVID had other ailments and sicknesses and diseases as well as, COVID. So until we actually until we're actually knowledgeable enough about the actual disease, I couldn't even consider a vaccination, because it's like, it just came out of the blue. It's like, as fast as Biden got elected, now all of a sudden we have a vaccination, and he guarantees that everybody in the country will have had it by July or so, without any kind of testing or anything. We just went, a year and a half of COVID and, quarantined and all that kind of good stuff, to where you just pull a vaccination out in the last, month or so, month and a half. And now it's like, it's a thing where, everybody's, it's going to be accessible to everyone. I also noticed in Europe that as you get your vaccination, they give you a barcode to be scanned to enter into certain public facilities and, all kind of different areas, as far as school to the grocery store. So eventually it is going to be mandated. Eventually that will be a tracking system, and as far as knowing where you are at all times and where you've entered and left and where you've been at throughout the course of the day. And as far as us as Black people, we have our immune systems are like way more stronger than everybody else's. You'll have a Black person that's on heroin, got AIDS and cancer and smoking crack, and they're still walking around functional and, on a day-to-day basis amongst society, and they can't quite seem to rid some of these people. So, as far as attacking our immune systems wholeheartedly and, injecting us with the diseases, of course, it would continuously break our immune system down. My daughter, she just got her shots, I think about last week. and she was a month behind on getting the shots, and she still has knots in her leg as of right now with these shots that she got. Couldn't tell you which shots she got, couldn't tell you what they're preventing, couldn't tell you that I see any signs of sickness or anything or ailment in her within needing the shots, but I could tell you that I didn't let my son get the shots for a long time, and I never had any issues or problems with him as far as his health was concerned. So until we kind of realize who we are as a people and, you know, what makes us different from them, then you'll understand why they set to destroy us and why they set to annihilate us and rid us of the planet and only but strip us of our melanin and inbreed with us enough to where they become the new black race. So just, you know, it's just my opinion. I wouldn't take it. I'll find out a little bit more about it. Again, pharmaceutical commercials are on television right now like nobody's business. And if you listen to the last 5 minutes, the last 2 minutes of the commercial, you hear nothing about side effects, about nothing but side effects and how it destroys you, breaks you down, and basically kills you. So something as far as this magnitude, as far as corona, I can only see this being like catastrophic over long periods of time. Everybody would be suing Johnson & Johnson, and they'd probably be out of business by the time we're all trying to sue them from us taking their vaccination. But that's all I got.
All right, much appreciated, bro.
Thank you there, Al.
I'll give it back to Tina. I'll let you guys
Okay. Thank you for that, though. All right. And it's not to say that he has a lot of points. It's not to say that something like that couldn't happen, because it's been done before in one form of it, you know, in one form or another. Also, it's one more thing to be vigilant on. Last points for anybody who wants to share, just to kind of like wrap this up. What has been, you know, we're talking about, you know, COVID a year later. Like I said, we just passed the year mark for when things really kind of like went into high gear, like the last week or two. If for anybody who wants to share, what's been the biggest change that you've experienced? The biggest singular change. I know there's been a lot of them. What's been the biggest singular change that you've experienced in the last year? I'll go first. Biggest change that I have seen in this last year has actually been kind of a personal one, which is one of the reasons why I am where I am. You know, taking you know, this kind of like a personal wellness trip out to Vegas. The biggest change that I've noticed in this last year is that I'm faced with this issue of being you know, confined for all the best reasons, of course. In the long run, for me, I understand that this has not allowed me to flex my extrovert muscle a whole lot, and that speaking both as a person and then also in my professional capacity as a life coach, that wasn't really healthy for me. It wasn't allowing for me to stay in my center, in my good place, which is what necessitated me to take these, you know, necessary precautions to, you know, just go and get a change of energy, change of scenery, so that I can, you know, get that release and then be able to come back and do, you know, what I need to do. And this is happening on a monthly scale right now for me. That has been the biggest thing. Just a focus on what I really need to do for myself, and it's probably something that I should have been doing prior to it. But with certain, you know, situations allowing for me to not be able to exercise, it highlighted the need to have to exercise. So that would be the biggest thing for me. That's changed in the last year, and it's actually been a good change. So yeah, there's that. Anybody else want to share their largest single change that they've encountered in the last year before we wrap?
No one?
Which is fine.
What did you say? Can you repeat the question, please?
The largest single change that you've encountered in the last year because of this.
like a personal change, like something that, I don't know, maybe I'm not understanding the question.
Like positive, negative?
It can be anything, either one. It could be personal, it could be professional, it could be just whatever it is that because of COVID, this is what I've encountered.
Well, I should be traveling like you, since I'm not going to be able to go anywhere because I don't have my vaccination. So maybe I should start doing what you're doing and travel. But I haven't really, spending more time. I think I'm going to say this. I think I realized this before the pandemic, but I wasn't spending enough time. I really wasn't spending enough time with my children because of work. So I will say that although the pandemic has been horrible, I have been able to spend a lot of time with my babies. And that I am very, very happy about. I don't know. I guess that spending time with my children and my husband, something I really wanted to do that I felt that I never was able to do because work was always pulling me.
Understood. Vanessa?
Yeah, definitely that. It just gave me an opportunity to just look at other things, and as far as like careers and things like that, I had more time to work on some other projects, and that was a wonderful thing. I had more time for leisure, but one of the greatest things that happened was that I actually got to be home with my husband more, because we were like two ships and passed in the night. I pretty much worked a 15 hour day, and he worked evenings. And so, dinner was pretty much the only meal we would have together. And that would be on weekends, because when he would come home from work at night, I would already be asleep, like 11, 12 o'clock. I was already in bed. And then in the morning, when I got up, it was like, you shower, you dress, makeup, hair, you're out the door. And, he would just be like working out or doing calisthenics. So, it was like we were just two ships passing. But I learned to cook, and I started baking again. And I got to prepare meals for him. I think it sounds kind of like kind of boring and corny, but in the whole idea about what marriage is and what it's supposed to be, and all of these things about roles and traditional roles and things like that, I always considered myself to be a career woman, a woman on the move. Like, I was not what's the word that when you become like domesticated? I was not domesticated at all. And it was nice. It was nice to cook for him and to serve him and to bring meals to, like, it was just nice to be able to cook stuff that he enjoyed and things he liked, and to watch him eat, and because I never got to see any of that stuff, and it was always just, and he's like very organic and doesn't eat red meat and pork and all of that stuff. So I really got to be domesticated, and it was something that I enjoyed. I really, really enjoyed it. I loved taking care of him, and, having the time to take care of him in that way. So that was one of the best things for me that happened through this horrible pandemic.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. I get it. It's one of those unfortunate things, but then not unfortunate because of what you get from it. And I'm hearing people saying that they picked up a skill, they got better with their kids. They got to spend more time with the kids. They got to spend more time with their loved ones. Nene started a business.
I did.
We started the business. I started too. So it's unfortunate in the way that it came, but then you look at the end result and you see what you have. And that would be my suggestion as far as what we can do, what we can just continue to do going forward. We've already had some wonderful ideas as far as getting more information and continuing to stay safe, and then of course using the time, using this shift to get some other things done. And that's the best thing I knew. Tanisha, you got the last word before we go.
Yeah, I just got one thing. Oh,
Go ahead. No, good.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
For me, you may go ahead.
Yeah. Go
Okay. My thing is, my good thing for this pandemic is it gave me a chance to slow down. I was going so much that I actually had time to slow down, to catch up, to do some things I needed to do, whether at my business or with my kids. My son turned 16 last January, and then my daughter turned 16 this year. So that means my son had his driver's license, and my daughter, my son is more the quiet person. My daughter's more outgoing. So the pandemic has really helped me with them, because when there's teenagers like that, they're not gonna stay home. I would not have had as much time to learn my kids now than I would have, if the pandemic came, I wouldn't have learned them. Kids go through so much stuff, and I'm learning so much more than you never think that you think you know your kids, but I'm learning them more now. If this pandemic won't here, I would probably never see my children. So they'll be in the street. I'm not saying in the street, but they'll be literally gone. You know, I couldn't spend that time with them. After a certain age, the kids don't want to spend their time with their parents. So that gave me a little bit more time to spend with my kids, to teach them and, give them some more core values before they get out,
Excellent.
But that's my main thing I've gained from that. It's because I had a little bit more time with my children.
Okay.
And with my family.
That'll definitely do it. Much appreciate you guys sharing everything. Thank you for sharing your stories with us tonight. As we just took the time to just do this self-check, this 1 year self-check with this new normal that we have. From Nene and I both, we want to say thank you, and we appreciate you for being part of us. Next week, and Vanessa, I was chuckling to myself because you actually mentioned something that touched on what we're doing next week. Thank you for saying a great show. You guys helped to make it great. So next week we are actually dipping into the N-word. Talking about it, what it is, what it's not, why we use it, why we still use it, why we shouldn't, why it's still a thing. So the N-word, that bomb, that we love so much, some of us, and that we're trying to do away with some others of us. That'll be next week. Getting into the cultural and moral and ethical ramifications of it, of course. So that'll be next week. Of course, as always, you can send your show ideas to us either through the comments on the YouTube channel. If you want to watch a video, you can send them to us there. You can also send them to us through the email, him and her, talkspacepodcast@gmail.com. Like, share, and follow for this, for those of you that are watching the video on YouTube. And we will see you next week here in the space where, as always, we have 2 coaches.
1 space.
And
0 reservations.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a great night. Thank you again. God bless.
Thank you, guys. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Got it.
Love you too. Good night, guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Thanks for hanging in there, Faye.
Of course, the second time around.
Right?
You guys were awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.